There are so many benefits for us as adults of having a creative practice, such as keeping a sketchbook. But I think because we take art way too seriously, we never start and forget about those benefits. So today I'm here to share with you some ideas that will hopefully help you change that perspective. And because Arrtx has partnered with me to bring you this video, they sent the most beautiful markers, so I think I can show you that it can be tons of fun too. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Paula. I am a full-time artist. And if you're not new, welcome back. Let's get creative. Okay, I have my sketchbook ready, so I'll talk more about the markers as I move forward in the video because right now I just cannot wait to start my creative play. So let's just jump right in. To start, I taped a little edge around my sketchbook page, and I'm just going to grab the first marker that called me, and I'm going to paint a curvy line with its juicy brush tip. My plan is to be really playful with the colors as I grab the ones that call me. So yeah, I'm not swatching them first. I mean, I kinda am, but not traditionally, right? I understand that starting by creating a swatch page is the smartest move, but I always want to play with new art supplies first before doing something serious like swatching. I mean, I will swatch them, of course, I'll need it, but I need to play first to follow my excitement. Like, seriously, did you ever swatch anything as a kid? What I am doing is, as I use each marker, I'm using it again on another sketchbook on the side to create a fast color card that I'll use for reference for all of the ideas on this video. So, this fun page I'm creating is inspired by rock strata. Whenever I am on one of my trekking trips and I see a little of it, I'm mesmerized by rock patterns. Imagine how beautiful it must be to be there at Yellowstone or at the Wave in Arizona. Bucket list destinations for me for sure, because I find them fascinating. So that's the inspiration for this first page, and of course I'm taking a more colorful approach, adding tons of color, not just similar ones, because I'm also using this opportunity to try out bold color combinations by placing colors I wouldn't normally do next to each other. See? Fun and easy enough. Because I'm playing, I'm not using each color just once in order, but I'm coming back to them to see how they look with other ones. So for example, I really wanted to try that first purple I used next to the yellow. I definitely have to mention that the colors of the caps on the markers mostly don't match the color of paint you'll get. So in some of the shots, you'll see me hold the cap as I draw the line with the other hand to show you the difference. My other Arrtx marker set doesn't have this issue, so I was a little bit surprised. So yeah, you're definitely gonna need a swatch card. Mine will probably be made by my daughter, who actually loves swatching. What makes me love these markers for my sketchbook play is that because the markers have brush nibs, I was able to play with the thickness of the lines, going from super thin to thick in the same brush stroke. And I really enjoy doing that. It feels so organic to me. I am a canvas painter and my preferred medium is acrylic, so these feel very similar to brushes loaded with acrylic paint. Again, here I'm holding the cap next to the line I paint, so you can see there's a definite difference between the colors of the caps and the paint inside the markers. Still, I continue to enjoy this process, jumping around my page, adding different colors next to the other ones, just to see how they look together. I played with my lines until the page was completely full. And at the end, I added extra lines on top where I felt it needed it. Can't finish without the incredibly satisfying tape peel. That's my favorite thing about using paint markers on my sketchbook. I can't get enough of the amazing crisp result. And here's the first idea. So simple but so satisfying. And when I do these type of pages, I'm always blown away by the fact that if you take this page to a larger scale, it looks like a print you'll find for sale somewhere. Okay, second idea, and again, I'm taping out a border. I'm going to start super simple again by drawing clouds directly with the marker on the page. On this first cloud, I wanted to test the markers by blending them, which you can see works. If you want to use them that way, you can. My preference is just to have flat, bold colors when I use paint markers. I feel that's their appeal to me on watercolor paper. So for the next clouds, I just use one color, picking lighter colors as I went up on my page. So I basically painted my clouds up in a gradient from blue to yellow. And maybe you can see on the top cloud, I wasn't sure about how I wanted them to layer. So I just let them to dry, and while those dried, I went back to the bottom to cover that part where I have a mixed gradient, to cover it all with the black cloud because I really do want the flat look for my page. I went back fixing any edges that didn't seem crisp to me, and as you can see, I also fixed the cloud on top. That's the beautiful thing about acrylic markers. You can just let it dry and then go over anything and change colors if you don't like them. I really love that. My idea for the page was to have a very whimsical composition, so I wanted to have little houses hiding in between the clouds, like a cloud world. But as soon as I drew my first 3 houses, I disliked them wholeheartedly. I hated them. They're so bad. They did not match my vision at all. But because they are so tiny, and like I said, I'm using acrylic markers, instead of having the worst artistic tantrum of the day and tearing the page out, I just decided I'm going to pivot and do something different. I thought I would go cuter and paint little bunnies hiding in between the clouds. I also used different shades of purple for the 3 bunnies, which I thought was gonna be cute. Then I created highlights on all of the clouds with lighter colors, painted some details on the bunnies, and finally added some stars and little dots all over. Here comes that delicious tape peel, and idea number 2 is done. I mean, actually this one could also be a super cute print for a kid's bedroom. Okay, third idea, and this is something I've never done in my sketchbook videos before, but I thought it could be fun. I thought I would just quickly make a community post and ask you what you would like to see in one of my sketchbook videos. So I drew ideas from your suggestions and incorporated those to the techniques I wanted to show you on this episode. So for the first one, I'm just blocking out a rectangle with dark paint. I would normally just do this with a brush because it would be faster, but I wanted to show you how the markers perform painting a large area. They are super juicy, so they do great. Let me quickly show you more about these markers. I have 2 sets, but I'm actually only going to use the larger 48 marker set in this video because I used the smaller set in a previous video to create these cute shrink plastic pins. Which, by the way, I have to say it again, these markers were a dream on shrink plastic. I cannot wait for a good excuse to create more charms with them. Now to these set of markers, which, by the way, when it's dark and they have artificial light on them, they shimmer. It's lovely. Okay, the markers. They are so juicy because you can control the flow of the paint to the nib. So basically, you need to shake the marker to get the pigments mixed up and ready to use. Then you take the little cap from the back and then you pump it. The paint then flows down, and these are so juicy that you should be mindful on the first time you pump them what you have underneath because there could be a little spillage. Back to the page, it was a tiny bit streaky, so I gave it a second layer. Perfect, now it's so nice, smooth and even. Remove the tape, and then, based on your suggestions, I'm going to draw insects on the rectangle. More specifically, a moth and a dragonfly. My idea is to offset them from the rectangle, just trying to create like a balanced composition. So I started drawing. But oh my, is symmetry hard for me to accomplish. I have such a hard time drawing moths and butterflies. They never look symmetrical, but I still love drawing them, so I did it. I erased my guidelines a bit, and now it was time to color. You can see when I laid down the light purple, I had forgotten to shake the marker, so the pigment wasn't mixed, but that was okay. You just shake it, and then once you move it around, it looks perfect. You can move the paint around the paper too, and it'll mix, and it will be even and perfect, no worries. But it's actually a really good way for you to see how juicy the markers are. I used the reference to draw the moth, but I'm coloring however I want. I'm making that part up. So playing with bright colors here, and because I am redrawing the patterns completely, of course I had to add hearts. I was definitely trying to play a little bit with color while painting the moth. So at first I had yellow, pink, and orange there, but you're gonna see I change my mind a lot and I go over things. As I am editing now, I couldn't really tell you why I didn't like that pink. It looks good to me, but it also ended up being covered. I actually changed the colors on the middle part of the moth so many times. But that's how it happens sometimes. Sometimes you keep at it until you like it, and sometimes it's easier to have patience than other times. And that day, thank God I was patient, so I tried it until I was happy with it and able to move on to the dragonfly. I wanted the dragonfly to be the same but different, so I replaced the dark purple with blue, and then I used most of the same colors on top to get them to match. Hearts also. And done, that's it. I really love this result. For the next page, I wanted it to match a little bit to this one, so I taped the same small rectangle, but this time I made it purple. Now what I want to share with you is the technique I use for a lot of my own paintings that I love because it's fun and meditative. Painting like this makes me feel great, and when I'm done, I have beautiful, complex backgrounds that I use in my paintings. I started by drawing some squiggly lines on top of my purple background, and then I rounded out all of the intersections. I truly will go for any excuse to use neurographical painting because it relaxes me so much. When I was done, I thought it needed a few more lines, so I added those and rounded them too. Then I am going in for the third layer, in which I'm drawing circles all over. I filled the spaces in between those, and when they were dry, I started to draw some flowers on top. Very loose, doodly flowers that looked organic and fun. Then I peeled off the tape, and here we are, a beautiful background that is ready. Or is it a finished painting? You tell me. Next idea, again, taping a border, and now again reaching into your suggestions, and I'm using this one. I sketch a little frog in a pond, and I'm going to use the sketch to show you how I use my paint markers to paint water. So I start by painting the water with my darkest color. While that dried, I erased the pencil lines a little bit and painted all of the grass in the back. Then I took a lighter color to draw some super irregular oval shapes. They have to be narrower to the back of the illustration and wider or more circular towards the front. I had to go over these first ovals a few times because I forgot to shake and pump the marker. After I did that, it was time to add the third layer with a lighter color. This one, the ovals need to be smaller than the first ones for the effect to work, and they don't have to line up. Now it was time to paint the frog, and as you can see, I'm keeping this page as monochromatic as I can using all of the shades closer to green that I have available. I wanted the sky to be a very light teal, so I grabbed the marker with the teal cap. But I forgot about the swatching, so it looks a little bit more blue. But it's all good, it looks great. Gave everything 2 layers to have a nice smooth finish, and then I decided to move away from the monochromatic idea and add a punch of color by making the flower pink. I tried to add lighter details to the frog, but it wasn't looking great. So I let that dry, and I decided to outline everything with a dark teal instead of black. Went too far with the lining and messed up the water lily leaf, which I ended up covering up too. I added some shadows and highlights, yes again, and finally called my page done. I hope you like it. 6th idea, and this one is also inspired by a lot of comments that ask me to do something ocean related, which I'm gonna do, but I'm going to go abstract with this. I painted some curvy lines, you know, like the ocean, and then filled the spaces between them with different shades of blue and grayish blue. I have to tell you, I really love the range of colors in this alcohol marker set. Then I started to add texture to each of the sections, just playing around with lines and circles. Not really thinking ocean theme, but just filling the spaces organically. Decided to connect the 2 bottom areas by adding continued lines going through both of them, and when everything was dry, I used the black marker to create more lines on top, marking the sections and giving them more interest. I also used the same black marker to go around the tape to create a frame. Peel the tape and here it is. I love this one as a print mocked up on a beautiful room. Next idea, and I got a little nostalgic for this one. So first more tape, and then I started to draw mushrooms. My inspiration for this page is to do a sticker sheet. I used to love to collect sticker sheets as a kid, and I loved them, especially when the whole sheet of stickers looked like one scene and the background was all printed. Even if I was disappointed when the tiniest details were not scored to use as little stickers, I loved the sheets that looked like that. In that spirit, I filled my page with all sorts of mushrooms with a limited color palette of blue, purple, pink, yellow, and orange. And I did get the idea for this color combo from that first page when I was trying out colors next to each other. When I had enough drawings between the mushrooms and little flowers and all of the details I added, I started to go around them with a neutral beige, leaving a tiny white gap between the background and the elements on the page, you know, like little stickers. Then I was done painting around or coloring around or whatever it is you call what you do with paint and acrylic markers. I started to add highlights and details to the drawings so they had a little bit more volume. And before showing you the end result, I wanted to give you a behind the scenes look at the reality of me creating. This is the actual aftermath of my creative efforts. The markers are super juicy and it's acrylic paint, so I did have to clean the brush tips at times before taking them to my page because they were dripping, they're so juicy, or I had to pump a marker again and there would be a little spillage. I love these markers because they are super close to using real paint and brushes, but if you don't like the mess, I recommend you stick to the other set of Arrtx acrylic brush nib markers. Those won't spill at all, but I actually do love the messy painterly vibes to my desk, so I was happy. Okay, so finally here is the mushroom page we created today, inspired by your suggestions and by stickers. Then there's the abstract ocean we painted and our almost monochromatic page with the frog. We created this background that can be a finished piece if you wanted to, and on the other side of that, these beautiful colorful insects. We also painted whimsical clouds inhabited by bunnies, and of course, a beautiful bright abstract piece that we made as we were swatching our markers. I truly hope you enjoyed today's ideas. If you did, please let me know by telling me what you liked in the comments or by sharing this video with someone else. That's it from me today. I hope you're having the most wonderful day. See you next Friday. Bye!